All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we're celebrating a little bit of Memorial Day action. We're talking about some LPDS universe updates, things like that, some funny stuff. We get into people's Mount Rushmores of actors and actresses over in the Junction, which is going to be very exciting. And then, of course, we got a fantastic Cage fact. All that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. Happy Memorial Day weekend, week, celebration, whatever, depending on when you're listening to this or tuning in on the YouTubes. This won't post until, Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. I'm recording this before, so I haven't actually done any celebrating of sorts. But I do want to make the annual reminder with two caveats, two LPDS caveats here. Easy, Randy. You're good. Go on your couch. Go ahead, bud. The two caveats are, number one, and most importantly, don't forget why we have this holiday. Okay? Before you think about doing something stupid or taking things for granted or getting into any sort of tomfoolery, just remember what Memorial Day weekend is memorializing. Okay, it's who we're remembering. Okay, take a couple seconds out of your day this weekend, out of Memorial Day, to think about that. Be grateful. Follow the big three, if you will, and I will. Be grateful for the good you have in your life because of some of these people, a lot of these people. Second caveat. I love when close people in my life reach out, friends or family, to thank me or show appreciation. I'm always grateful and humbled by it. But again, part of the reminder here, Memorial Day weekend is to remember the fallen. So there's no requirement or obligation for anybody to go thank a living veteran. Like I said, it's nice, and I certainly don't want to sound like a dickhead or anything like that. Of course, I'm always going to say thank you. I appreciate the kind words. But remember, veterans have Veterans Day. We have that. You can thank us then. We can all fight each other at Golden Corral for the free meals, whatever. But Memorial Day is to remember the fallen, so there's no need to thank a living veteran. And it kind of doesn't make sense if you think about it, as to be as nice as possible, because I know where the intent is. Believe me, I know. And the people that reach out to me on Memorial Day, I can't be like, I don't want to be mean to them. I do want to make funny, sarcastic comments to them in a joking manner, but I don't want them to feel bad because they're doing something nice. They're trying to be appreciative, and I get that. But it doesn't really make sense to thank a living veteran for sacrificing their life, on Memorial Day weekend. We did it. So it's for the fallen. We living veterans didn't do that. We didn't fall. That is for them. They made the ultimate sacrifice. Veterans Day is for us jabronis who might have signed up to make the ultimate sacrifice. And without speaking on, I'm not speaking for everybody here, but some of us did a very good job hiding behind rocks for a long time so that we're around to beat each other up at Texas Roadhouse to get free baked potato on Veterans Day. So thank you to anybody who did reach out. I appreciate it. But this is not for me. This is not for veterans. Thank you. Go go to a national cemetery, put a wreath out. Again, the most important thing is at least take a couple seconds out of your days on Memorial Day to think about the sacrifices some people did make, and to remember them and be grateful for that, and be grateful that you are here a lot because of those folks. So now let's get into some LPDS sort of shenanigans. I wanted this. I'll get into this first because I wanted this to be a real celebratory episode. It's not quite there yet, and honestly, we're not going to find out. And here's what's going on. Embry-Riddle baseball team, the team I sat the bench for, and it's basically the only good thing about Embry-Riddle right now for me. Anybody who knows me knows how I feel about that college or college in general these days. I despise them. I think they're a money-making racket, and they're doing nothing of actual value for the vast majority of young adults who spend their money and waste student loans on it. Generally speaking, obviously, if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a technical practitioner, an engineer, the specialties where you need certifications and qualifications, teacher, public school teacher, you need to have the degree, a college education, pilot in the military, all that stuff. You need to go to college for that stuff. Understand that. Everything else is ball wash to me. And when you go to a school like Embry-Riddle that literally only cares about your money and looking good to the public to make more money and get more money in, that's why I'm jaded, to say the least. That's why I'm personally jaded. If you had a good experience at Riddle, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm almost jealous because I didn't have a great experience. But baseball is the reason I have any positive experiences there whatsoever, besides, the friends I've made through the little aviation fraternity I was in and things like that. ROTC, of course, as well. The relationships I built because of those things and baseball are the only positives, really, for me anyway. They're in the playoffs in Division II NCAA. The first time that they're in the NCAA Division II playoffs for baseball since they upgraded from NAIA, where I played, to NCAA Division II. They stunk for a while. They were on probation for a while, and then they kind of stunk for a while, and then they got dealt a devastating blow by the school when they canceled like 2 seasons in a row or something garbage like that because of COVID. The only school to do that in the conference. So it's been a long road to success for this team. And they made it to the playoffs. They won their regional playoff, the tournament. And now they're in the super regionals against the number 1 team, I think, in the nation, University of Tampa. And it's a best of 3 series, 2 out of 3. And on Friday night, Embry-Riddle beat them. And the score did not indicate how much Embry-Riddle dominated that game. And I was hoping that by the time I recorded this on Saturday afternoon, that Embry-Riddle would have won the second game early Saturday to go to the World Series, the Division II World Series in North Carolina. But they didn't. I will say as nicely as possible, they lost a big time in the first game of the set, or game 2 of the series. So they're playing very soon here in the third and final game, winner take all against Tampa. Whoever wins makes it to the World Series in North Carolina. Embry-Riddle has no business being there according to their rankings and everybody's reviews and assessments of them. So they're kind of playing with house money. They're the super underdog. Tampa is a perennial savage in NCAA Division II baseball. They have multiple national championships, World Series victories, and it's almost like every year it's like, oh, how easy is Tampa's road to the championship going to be this year? That's how good they are. So it would be a spectacular thing for Embry-Riddle to to take them out. I won't know while we're recording this, but when you see this episode, we'll know. I was hoping we knew now so I can pass on some good news, but we won't know until after. And I'm hoping there's still good news. It would be unbelievable for them to pull off this upset and make it. But I've been tracking them all year. They've been battling hurdles and obstacles with injuries and talent and doubters and other teams being good and all this other stuff. And I'm very proud of the work that they've been putting in and the leadership that they've had. So it's been exciting to see, and I really hope by the time this episode posts, we can celebrate a little bit. So with that, moving on, a little less celebratory of a topic, but something that I thought was funny, and needs to be mentioned, I guess. I recently went to what is the a-hole doctor called gastroenterologist for a colonoscopy consultation. I don't know if I mentioned this on a previous episode or not, but long story short, I have a vast family history of colon cancer or colon polyps, and doctors' notes saying, "Hey, these people, they need to get checked. They are higher risk. They are not average risk. They should not wait till they're 45. They should go get checked." So I wanted to go get checked, even though I'm not 45 and don't have any symptoms. I'm going to spare you the whole circus act of dealing with the physician's assistant I went to go see, who had zero independently thinking brain of her own. Everything was based off of what she can read in the manual that she practically Googled, or she would leave the room and go ask the doctor for an answer to come back to answer my questions and concerns and this and that. And long story short, they made an initial determination that I was average risk because the guidelines say average risk for men 37 years of age with no current symptoms, even though the family history, your family history has to be within 10 years, which is great. You have to be within 10 years of the person in your family that's had the most recent issues. And my parents are slightly more than 10-year age gap between me and them. So they thought average risk, whatever. So they were going to kick me to the curb with nothing. And after fighting with them and I wouldn't say fighting. I guess you could say negotiating, aggressively negotiating to the point where I was starting to get a little angry. We got it down to basically... I'm gonna end up telling this whole story. Basically, what happened was I gave the lady the reason why I'm there, the doctor's note, the family history, and I also reminded her that the percentage of young males my age range and my age window getting colon cancer has astronomically increased over the past 4 years. We can get the tinfoil hats on why that is. I don't have time for that, but it's gone up faster than the guidelines can update themselves in the medical community, unfortunately. And the guidelines are for the vast majority. I understand that law of averages, the more people, the more, more often than not, it's going to be follow the guidelines and you should be fine. But for my particular case, with my demographic and my family history, I thought it was obvious that it was higher risk. Plus the doctor's note from the other gastro doc that said, "Hey, get this done. Get this checked. Get a camera up that ghoul and get checked now." But we were fighting back and forth. And I kept repeating, please, this, that. And she kept going back to the guidelines, saying the doc says follow the guidelines. And I was like, listen, there has to be a compromise. And she goes, well, you don't have any symptoms. So I said, listen, you and I both know that if you get symptoms, it's already too late. I Googled that. I didn't need a damn medical degree for that. And she's like, yeah, that's true. I was like, so why would you even say that when you know it's true? When you know that once you start showing most of the symptoms, it's already too late. It already means you got it. So why would you say that as like a calming statement or a reassurance? She didn't have an answer for that, of course. I don't know if she was new or just bottom of her class or a combination of both. I don't know. She was very nice. I try not to be mean, but I was getting very frustrated with her inability to independently think and work with the individual patient she was working with, and not just cookie cutter approach to medicine, which is, again, you want to put the tinfoil hats on. The cookie cutter approach is repeat customers. That's how you make money. Repeat customers and deals with big pharma and the insurance, whatever. I'm not getting into it. So we make this compromise. Okay. The long story is getting longer. We make this compromise on, instead of a colonoscopy, we'll do the Cologuard test. Now, if you don't know what the Cologuard test is, I can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous episode. I'm losing my mind here. But the Cologuard test is basically it's a stool sample, okay? You take a dump in the pail and you ship the pail off to the team to test it. Okay? That's what that is. And it's like 90-something% accurate, 99% accuracy on these tests. And if there is a positive, then you go in for an actual colonoscopy to see what the hubbub is. So I was like, that's fine. Whatever. We'll do that. I just want to get checked. All I care about is getting a clean bill of health and not having to wait for symptoms to go and actually get treated for something. I just don't want to die. I don't feel like dying right now. Okay, forgive me. So she puts it in, and later in the afternoon, I get a call from the Cologuard people. Like, hey, we're going to send this over just to let you know. Here's how it works, blah, blah, blah. They told me all the ins and outs, what to do. Seems to be pretty easy. You dump in a box, and you send the box back. That's the long and short of it. Well, I get this call. Where am I going with this? I get this call, and they're like, okay, do you have any questions? Like, nope. They're like, okay, it's going to be $600, whatever it was, $600. And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah. You got to pay, your insurance isn't covering it. I was like, well, why not? And he goes, well, the physician's assistant who put in the request for this, put in the order for this, said your average risk. And insurance doesn't cover average risk. Insurance covers higher risk, higher than average. Now, in my head, I'm at war. In my head, I'm already at war with this lady, with the physician's assistant I went to. I'm steaming inside. There are nuclear bombs going off. I got the D-Day PT boats dropping my guys off at the beach to attack. So I was like, listen, hold off on this order. Don't send me anything. I'm not paying for anything. What code is needed to be insurance coverage? And you're like, code 11 or whatever. They told me the code. It's like, okay, I'll call you back. I go over and I call the physician's assistant. And again, I was trying to be nice. And I was like, listen, lady. I didn't call her lady, obviously. I'm just not giving you her name. I thought like we had this conversation. I thought we came to the agreement that I am slightly above higher risk. She's like, no, I thought you were average risk or slightly above average risk. She's like, no, I thought you were average risk. I was like, listen, do you remember the conversation? I was like, listen, let's forget about the recent exponential, scary increase in percentage of men in my age range getting colon cancer over the past 4 years. Let's forget about that. Okay? Even though I can't forget about it, and most regular people can't either. Let's just talk about the family history. Okay? I laid out to you everybody in my lineage. Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, what the history is between colon cancer or polyps or whatever colon-related shit that we're going through. Everybody in my family. The two things that my family is the best at. The best. You can't beat the Librettis at these two things. Number one is collecting crap and finding a value in, or finding a perceived value in crap, junk hoarding, junk collection. The second thing is getting cancer. Okay? That's what my family does. We collect crap and we get cancer, and nobody's better at them than us. Nobody. Ask anybody. Ask anybody around. Hey, do you know any Librettis out there? Yeah. How are they at collecting junk? They're the best. They had a family business for decades, professionally collecting crap and making money off of it. What else are they good at? They love getting cancer. They love it. So forgive me, lady, for being a little annoyed that we had this conversation and we ran through all the details, and you still think I'm average risk. Can you tell me why, specifically why me, John Libretti, is still average risk? And then she goes, and this is where I lose it. Okay, I'm going to hand up. This is where I lose it. And this is where I need to get better at following the big three, number two of the big three, because I got a little negative. I got a little shitty here. And she goes, well, because the guidelines said, and before she can even finish, I said, lady, I said, don't read me the guidelines again. I said, I Googled the guidelines. The guidelines not only aren't updated over the past 4 years to account for that stuff, this is for the average, this is for the majority of people with very little family. It says it in the guidelines what this is for. It's for the regular person. And she's like, yeah, but. I was like, no buts. I said, you know the guidelines I don't line up with them. I told you the history. They don't line up. She's like, yeah, but the doctor said the guideline. I was like, if the guidelines told you that you should suggest I stick my wiener in an electrical socket, is that what you would actually suggest to me? Or would you be able to take the step back and think with your brain for a second, your own independently thinking brain, and realize that doesn't apply to this person? The guidelines in this particular one-person case do not apply. And that is the first thing that guidelines say. Here is our disclaimer. This is not for every single 100% of the population. This is for the majority of the population. This big-nosed idiot right here is not part of the majority of the population. So stop doing that. Stop following these. And finally, she conceded and she changed the code so I can get my shit test covered by insurance, or even looked at by insurance before they weren't even looking at it. So, continuing the long story, right now, as we speak, I have a box with a shipping label on it, and inside that box is a medical Ziploc bag, and inside that bag is there's two containers. One is a tiny little vial with a little mascara kind of scraper brush in there that I had to scrape doo-doo and put it into the mascara container and then label it and put it in. The second thing in that container is a literal bucket of my dumpies. And I'm not going to get into the details of how I had to do it. They give you instructions, and I did a couple dry runs. I did a couple of dummy runs, no bombs, to make sure everything was clean and there was not going to be a mess or issues or fiascos. You got to train, okay? That's another thing I talk about constantly here and in Spearhead is you got to constantly train to improve and be good at something. Okay, you can't just learn it once and be the best forever. You got to keep training, keep training, keep training. So I trained. I did a couple of training runs and I got it in and I hit the target. No problem. No mess. No fiascos. Thankfully. Would they have made a great story? Absolutely. But I'm happy to announce I don't have that story for you. It's in the box and it's being picked up by UPS and they'll go test and see what's going on in my eye hole area. So I'll keep you guys posted. Am I too terribly worried? No, but I want some peace of mind. I don't want to wait till symptoms, and I don't know. Like, I also I'll admit this without giving away any names or information or whatever, but I am a little bit more on the worried, paranoid side in general about stuff like this because mostly for my military friends. There is an what is the word I'm thinking of? There is um a frighteningly high percentage of people I know in the military, friends and acquaintances my age, that have gotten cancer that our age does not get. It's a low percentage of people that's supposed to get this stuff. I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people right off the top of my head that have gotten random old people style cancer at my age or before, even younger, in our early 30s, and some of them didn't make it. Okay, some of them didn't make it. So there are reasons for that. There are absolute reasons for that with the military side of things. So I just err on the side of worrisome. You could call it caution, extra worried, a little paranoid, whatever. So I wanted this peace of mind. I'm not waiting another 7, 8 years to go get this test when who the hell knows what could happen in that 7 or 8 years, especially now, again, when my age bracket, my demographic, they're dropping left and right these days comparatively over the past 4 years. So I wanted some peace of mind, and I'm going to give it to you guys. I'm not worried. I'm pretty confident. My blood tests are tremendous. My testosterone is tremendous. I'm firing on all cylinders lately, so I'm happy about that from a health perspective. This would be very much so like the icing on the cake as far as confidence going in my health moving forward. Anyway, I'm 37 years old. We shouldn't be having these conversations, so shut up. In more depressing news, before we get into the good stuff, more depressing news. If everybody remembers, I don't know how much I talked about it. I talked about it briefly a little while ago, maybe sometime last year. This thing called the PACT Act. I forgot what it stands for. It was passed, I don't know, last year or whatever, by the government. Jon Stewart was talking about it. He had a whole spiel about it after they signed it in. I forgot what his opinions were on it, but it's basically the government for all the military members who either died of died in duty or got cancer or sick from things like burn pits or Agent Orange or all that stuff that you can get in the military. And for years and years and years and years, the government did nothing for these veterans after they got out of the military. That was it. You just go to die or commit suicide or whatever. The VA wasn't doing anything. Basically, this act basically gives back pay, a lot of money to families of fallen military members, and some money to the VA to fund some other people. It was basically like, hey, let's just throw money at this problem, and hopefully people will shut up and not continue to complain, even though we're not giving them any more treatment. We're just giving them a ton of money to shut them up, basically. That's what the PAC Act is. Well, a lot of this money went to the VA. I say a lot, not compared to our national debt and what the money going to Ukraine is, but millions of dollars. And they just found out that the VA took $11 million and instead of giving it to veterans for veteran care or spouses of dead fallen military members, like it was supposed to, the VA doled out $11 million to its executives in the forms of like promotions, bonuses, gifts, what have you. They literally took money for these soldiers and military members and families and took it right out of their hands and gave it to themselves. Now, more is unfolding with this. I don't have all the information. All the information is not quite out there yet. I don't imagine anyone will get in real trouble. They'll probably be forced to resign or something, some slap on the wrist. But this is a tinfoil hatty friendly reminder that this is a government-run organization. Okay? The post office is a government-run organization, so that's two. All right? The Department of Education, government-run. Department of Transportation, government-run. With all the rail, sea, the boat safety, the airplane safety issues happening in the past couple of years, okay? Department of Transportation, government run. All right. Everything else the government touches. Think about it, okay? Now think about when the government says they want to have things like, I don't know, universal health care, government-run health care, which again I think is not malarkey per se. It's not, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not malarkey. It's they use the term healthcare, but they're really talking about health insurance, the money, the payment, the cost of medical treatment. Okay. And they should be more clear about that, because that's part of healthcare, is having the money to pay for medical treatment. But they never talk about reforming and improving like the medical treatment system, the medical system of the relationships between the medical team professionals and big pharma or the insurance companies, and the corrupt little game that they all have together to create, repeat customers and not actually treat problems and solve these medical issues, but treat symptoms to keep them coming back and never having to, be off the sauce, if you will. That's, to me, what I consider to be healthcare. It's all that stuff. It's not just health insurance. But again, the point of this is, before you make any decisions or vote or have an opinion on this, remember what the government is currently in control of and how that's going for them. The post office has gone bankrupt several times over the last decade or two. Okay? The VA is literally stealing money from the families of fallen soldiers and military members, and the military members themselves that need medical attention. Stealing it from them. Okay? All your tax dollars have been gone to foreign aid, which is not like, I am for foreign support, but not at the cost of American support, where almost like how much money has actually gone to fixing our internal problems, like the rail industry, the boat, naval industry, shipping industry, the airline industry. What else you got? Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. Can you freaking believe that? They still don't have clean water. The crime in New York, LA, Chicago, Detroit, DC. Where else? San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, parts of the bigger cities here in Texas, even. Every big city is in shambles. It's Bumville, USA. Bums, drug addicts, illegals committing crimes. It's chaotic here, to say the least. That's all government run. Okay, back to the point. So when you think about wanting things like government run health insurance, health care, or more government control on our quote unquote safety and security, think about stuff like this. Remember stuff like this that's actually happening, that the government already has control of. They control the VA. They control the post office. The government's running these cities and areas and these departments. Okay? Think about that. And when you find me a government-run organization that's a well-oiled machine to have an argument on the validity of having another government-run centralized organization, let me know, and we'll have the conversation. I'm more than open to it. I can't find one yet, and I've worked for many of them, and I can't find one yet. So I'm frustrated by it. Not because I was expecting any money. I'm not. I have no expectations of any sort of post-military life veteran funding of any sort. I was actually surprised to be even getting any sort of disability whatsoever. I don't expect it. I'm not building my life around the expectation of any sort of support from the government in that regard at all. So it's not like I'm sitting here bitching because it's like they stole my money. No, they stole from people who need it to line their own government pockets. Okay? They stole from people and families who need it, American citizens who put their lives on the line, fighting wars that didn't need to be fought, most of them. Most of them were for political narratives, political chess moves. Not for the freedom that they brainwash us into thinking. And these people put their lives on the line, and some of them lost these lives. And now the government is, quote unquote, offering them money, dangling it in their faces, and then stealing it back from them and laughing about it. Okay, that's why I get angry about it. And you could disagree, and that's okay. We're allowed to disagree, and we can share different opinions, and that's fine. I'm telling you why this gets me all fired up. Because I know people who need that money and that support. I know people who need the actual treatment to get better, but this is at least something, because they're not going to get the treatment that they need. Not from the government, that's for damn sure. So forgive me for being bitter and jaded about it. It got me hot and bothered when it was sent to me, when this article was sent, and I saw some videos about it as well. It's just infuriating to see that at every single chance these corrupt, despicable human beings get, every single opportunity to be a shitty human being and to think only about themselves and their own power and wealth, they take it. They are so morally and ethically bankrupt. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how bad it's gotten. And I know I'm the crazy person here because I'm calling it out, and everybody else is. Most other people are just like, oh well, there's nothing we could do about it. There is, but nobody wants to have those conversations. Nobody wants to do that. Not many people have the I want to say balls, but have the crazy brain to actually, venture into that side of the thinking spectrum of ways to go, to fix these problems. Because the common excuse is, well, nobody else is going to follow suit, so it's not worth the effort. The people who signed the Declaration of Independence were up against that too. Okay? And here's another friendly reminder for everybody while I'm still on my crazy train here. Everyone's going to call the cops on me and get me committed. the founding fathers declared independence and revolted against the British for far less tyrannical government overreach than what we're dealing with now. Okay, so that's just a friendly reminder that we're accepting so much more government control and corruption and tyranny, if you will, for lack of a better term. That's not really the term I want to use, but tyrannical style of control. We're accepting that far more of it than what those bastards signed their lives away to fight against. So, and I'm not saying we got to go up in arms and get crazy just yet, but we got to do something, folks. I am so tired of the government bending over its citizens and blasting us raw dog style. I'm so tired of it. With that, let's get into the good stuff, folks. We're having a great time this Memorial Day week, aren't we? Having a great old time. Taking dumps in boxes, remembering the fallen, talking about government corruption, staging coups, all this other how you doing. It's great. It's great times. Great episode. Love it so far. With that, we're going to step into the cage. We're going to get into the good stuff. Excuse me. We're going to step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Sylvester's Sweat Towels. Are you a sloppy, greasy ginzo who just seeps olive oil sweat out of your pores like a shower head and you have no good way to wick it away? Well, Sly's got you covered with his patent unpending sweat towels. Sylvester has developed a highly questionable absorption technology that slurps up every bit of sweat with just one simple wipe of the brow. Now you don't have to worry about what is this? Now you don't have to worry anymore at Fogo de Chao when you're just taking down your third pound of lamb shanks and the meat sweats are starting to flow. So to get your sweat towel today, head on over to your local YMCA and Sly will be there waiting for you in the men's locker room by the laundry basket. And if you use the promo code BUCKNAKED, you'll get 29% off your first towel. The notes app I'm using to get the sponsor information, I don't know if it changed the spelling and it moved words around so it didn't read correctly. And I don't know if that was the program that did, or maybe I have dyslexia and I don't know when I was typing it out. But anyway, get your sweat towel. All right, the Cage fact. So as you know, we've discussed this previously. Nic Cage had a movie premiering at the Cannes Film Festival. Is it Cannes, whatever. Recently, last week, I guess. And the movie was The Surfer. And after the movie premiered, Nic Cage got a 6-minute standing ovation for the movie. 6 minutes for his performance alone. Apparently, the movie, he has a wildly Cage-tastic scene. Some say where it was similar to what they saw in Mandy when he was in the bathroom losing his mind, trying to find his kidnapped girlfriend, his wife, or whatever. And apparently he has something similar again in this movie. And because of his performance as this surfer, he got a 6-minute standing ovation. So, needless to say, I'm excited for that to come out for for us regulars, so we can talk about it. I wish I knew how I could get into the circle of trust to, besides obviously to meet Nic Cage and be his best friend, but just to enough to be called into like, hey, come to the premiere and review this Nic Cage movie, and put your thoughts out there for us. I wish I was able to get into those circles. I wish I knew even how to start the process of getting into those circles. I'll tell you what, how not to do it. and I'm not going to do it, is what you don't want to do is you don't want to listen to when people bark orders at you to do stuff Nic Cage related. That's not how you do it. You don't listen to people barking orders at you to add more Nic Cage flavor to this show and to the segments. So I'm not going to do that. But I am going to I would like to find a way, because then I can review the movies when they come out and be the guy, the Nic Cage guy. That would be incredible. I just got to figure out how to do. If anybody knows how to do it, let me know. If anybody actually knows how to do it, I'm sure now I'll get several hotline calls on not real ways, and probably they're going to be comedy bits that I'm going to have to pretend to laugh at. So that'll be nice to get. But yeah, that's the Cage Fact. 6 minute standing ovation for the Surfer. Excited for it to come out for us regulars, us jabronis out there. Speaking of which, we'll move on into the Junction. We'll spin the logo up. We have hotline calls. I'm not getting to the hotline calls this week. I want to talk about these Mount Rushmore picks that we got. And we'll do the hotline calls the next week. So you have time to call in more and add to the list of the calls that we got to go through. I'll tell you right now, I didn't listen to them. I read the transcripts that come out on the hotline. It writes it out like what the person's saying. We're not missing much. All right, we're not missing much. There's not a lot of comedy gold in there. So we'll get to them next week though, and then maybe we'll have a guessing game of which ones were from, that I saved and which ones are newer hotline calls. Give these people a chance to come up with better bits, I guess. So with that, we put out the question to the people. Now, a hotline caller called this in previously with the question, who is your Mount Rushmore of actors, actresses? I thought it was a great question. It was a good idea. So I put it out to the people. I put it on Instagram and I put it on Facebook for people to answer and give and provide information. Now, I was very general. Who is your Mount Rushmore of actors and actresses? And I left it open on purpose so that I wanted to see if people would go with who their 4 favorite actors and actresses were, or who they thought the 4 best actors and actresses were, regardless of if they liked them or not. And it seemed like there was a mix of both. It's more so on the favorite side of the house, but there was, again, there was a mix of people who put what you can tell is like, oh, this person thinks they're just a great actor. And there was a couple of troll garbage ones in there. I'll read them out. You can let me know if you think they're funny or not. And then I will say this, though. I got no inputs from any union leaders. I got no Mount Rushmore inputs from Mickey Mouse, none from Goofy, none from the Just the Tip leadership lady. None of these people, quote unquote people, who called into the hotline, dragging the show and trying to bring us down. I didn't hear their opinions on any of this stuff. And I just find it a little interesting that the volume is so high and the action is so low. So, you could take that for what you will. We're going to get into this, though. Let's check my screenshot notes here. All right, so this first one here, this person, a couple people did this, and I don't, it's whatever. I think this person just forgot what Mount Rushmore was, being that it's a statue of 4 presidents, 4 people. So when I asked for your Mount Rushmore of actors and actresses, I just assumed, maybe incorrectly, that people would give me 4. This person right here just gave me 1, and they said Jason Statham. the bald men's messiah. Now I love Jason Statham, and this is clearly a favorite actor answer and not who I think the best is, because you can easily argue that there are better actors out there, but Jason Statham is a good actor. He's got a lot of good movies. He's awesome to watch. He was a prior non-actor. I forgot what he did before. Something interesting, but he was more of a regular Joe before anything else. So thank you for that one. This next one here, this guy put Harrison Ford, Mel Gibson, George Clooney, and Marissa Tomei for ... reasons. This is not my list. This is not my Mount Rushmore, but I like it. It's a good one. Harrison Ford is top tier. Indiana Jones, Han Solo, not First Flight, Air Force One, Frantic, The Fugitive. What else was he in back in the day? So many. He's a star. He's a star, and he saluted me. So I have a personal, love for him. Mel Gibson, also great. People will dog on him all the time because there was a time frame years ago that he seemingly went off the cuckoo's nest, or flew over the cuckoo's nest a little bit. I don't even remember exactly what he said or did. It wasn't that compared to what people are doing now, it wasn't that drastic. But people don't like him because he's more on the conservative side and talks about God a lot. So the Hollywood hates that because you can't touch kids and rape people if you like God and are more the conservative side, apparently. So whatever. Mel Gibson's a great actor, though. Great movies. George Clooney, also another good actor and a heartthrob, Hollywood heartthrob. Also, he was also good in TV shows, too. He's not just a movie actor, TV shows, commercials, what have you. And then Marissa Tomei, for sure. She's on mine, too, honestly, if we're talking about it. So and we'll get into a little bit more Tomei later on, but thank you for that one. All right, this next one here. This was a tough one for me to... At first, I thought it was legit best actors. And then I realized this is also probably favorite actors, too. Combination of both. This person put Marlon Brando, Daniel Day-Lewis, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Dua Lipa because she was in that cat movie that just came out. I don't know what cat movie that came out. Was it Garfield? Is she in Garfield with Chris Pratt? Was she one of the voices in Garfield? I don't know. Is that the cat movie we're talking about? Regardless, I now know that this person mixed in favorites with quality actors. Now, Marlon Brando, he's gone. He's dead, and he was also a super weirdo at the end. Oh, he was always kind of a weirdo, but Godfather, Streetcar Named Desire, On the Waterfront, Apocalypse Now. Is it Apocalypse Now or Platoon? Apocalypse Now, I think it was. He's all time. Everybody knows Marlon Brando. He's all time. He even had, when he won an Oscar, he had a Native American. What's the proper term? I'm going to get canceled. It's not Indian. It's not Native American anymore. Indigenous American. I don't know what the white women want us to call them anymore. So somebody help me out, Karen. But he had a Native American go up on the stage to accept the award and then talk about how the white person is stealing their land and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Come to find out years later that Native American was not even Native American. She was a white person. That's how kooky he was. All right. Anyway, Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm actually surprised more people didn't put Daniel Day-Lewis. I guess maybe because he's not their favorite. He's just a good actor. He's one of the best around. He is also a weirdo. He does the method acting stuff, and he's strange, but he's one of the best around when it comes to acting and getting into it and becoming that character. He's incredible. And Leonardo DiCaprio, same thing. incredible. Very strange with his. Is he a climate guy, an anti climate change? Like I forgot what he does with the climate while he's bopping around his private jet, and he also has a strange unofficial age restriction when it comes to women he dates, and it's borderline. You can make the argument. You can open the investigation to see if it's worse than what it's showing on face value, but very strange. But I can't think of a movie that he didn't crush in. There maybe some of the movies aren't as great, but I can't think of a movie that he did not do fantastic in. So that's a good one. Um, so thank you for that input. Dua Lipa. I love Dua Lipa. I don't know any of the names of her songs or anything like that, but she's hot. So thank you for that input. This guy here put Cuba Gooding Jr., Bill Cosby, Danny Masterson, and Woody Allen. Thanks for the input. Very, very funny stuff. This guy here put John Cena, Dwayne Johnson, Steve Austin, and Dave Bautista. Now, here's why this is funny to me specifically. And this is not something that you guys would realize when this person input it, but I'm going to tell you right now why it's funny to me anyway. This came from an Instagram page that is a WWE wrestling page. And whenever they post comments on people's posts, or they put up stories, or they respond to stories, it's always a wrestling thing. No matter what, it's about, it's about wrestling action figures. It's about championship belts. It's about different wrestlers and stuff like that. So this is on brand for that Instagram page and the person who runs that page. That's why it was funny to me, because they know that these guys are not the Mount Rushmore of actors, but for that guy's WWE universe, it's very funny. It's good. So thank you for that. The Cuba Gooding stuff, it just didn't land with me because it's such an obvious, they're not good actors. They're rapists. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is also a criminal for doing something else. I forgot what he did. I don't know. But whatever. Anyway, sorry that one didn't land on me. It's humor subjective. All right. But thank you for that. All right. Next one here. This guy put Christian Bale, Jim Carrey, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Tom Hanks. Another top tier list. And I can't actually tell if those are favorites or what he thinks are the best out there, because these are top tier actors. I love all of them. I love Christian Bale, his movie. I'm a devout Christian Bale fan. Jim Carrey is also incredible. Very strange. I watched a documentary on him when he did the Andy Kaufman movie, and they said he went off the deep end with the method acting. But he hasn't done anything as crazy ever since, but his movies have been tremendous. He's just a good actor. Truman Show, Mask, Dumb and Dumber, other stuff. Everyone likes the Grinch. He did phenomenal in the Grinch. I don't care for the movie that much. His role, he was phenomenal, but the movie was whatever. I like the cartoon Grinch better, as a personal opinion. But Jim Carrey is great. What else did he do? The Majestic, he was great in. What else did he do in 94? He crushed in 94. It was Dumb and Dumber. It was The Mask, and it was one other thing that I forgot. Ace Ventura, maybe? Ace Ventura, tremendous. Anyway, Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of the more underrated guys, one of the best out there, too. Another guy who traversed comedy to drama to action, whatever. He can do it all. My favorite, of course, is his role as Sanford Lyle in Along Came Polly. An unbeatable role, but he was great in everything. Only the Devil Knows You're Dead. I think he did Truman Capote, other stuff. He was in Twister. tremendous. Rest in power. And then Tom Hanks, another guy who I can't think of movies that he didn't crush in. Even if the movie wasn't as successful. Now, there are a lot of haters out there that say Tom Hanks is two groups of haters that say Tom Hanks is a kind of a dickhead in real life. I haven't seen that personally. Obviously, I haven't met him. And then there's underground, not really underground, but a large group of people that every time Tom Hanks is tagged in anything on the internet or social media, they're dragging him in the comment section for liking kids and being a pedo. I don't know why, because he's the only person I've seen, and I, you know how I feel about the whole child sex trafficking stuff with the celebrities and the super rich people and the people in power, whatever. He's one of the only people that gets accused of it, and there's no other evidence to tie him to that. And I've done some digging, because usually when people say like you're a pedo, check the tapes or whatever, check the records, and you can see some stuff that's kind of questionable, like he hangs around this weird crowd and this and that, and there's indirect lineages to that stuff, and I know ends up coming out eventually. I haven't seen anything with him, so I don't know. I just think he's a really good actor and his movies are great. Now, if it ends up coming out he's a bad guy, I stand by what I said. I still think he was a great actor, and his movies are great. That's regardless of who he is as a human being. So, separating the art from the artist there. But thank you for that. That was a great list. This next one here, Denzel Washington, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christian Bale. He said the fourth one is tough, but he's kind of leaning towards Chris Evans for him personally. Because he admits that's a personal pick for him as a favorite type, top tier actor type of guy. Now, if you think about it, I'll say this about Chris Evans. I certainly don't think he's like a Mount Rushmore of top actors of all time. I think there's too many better actors, or more renowned, but I think Chris Evans does a really like an understated, phenomenal job on the roles he has. His roles aren't the Oscar-winning roles all the time. But if you look at the movies he's done very well in them. And he's also bounced around comedy, action, drama. People don't remember that he was the star in Not Another Teen Movie before he was Corporate America, Captain America. That was a joke, folks. I know there's going to be some people who are going to troll me in the hotline and tell me that I got that wrong because I'm a jackass, but whatever. Before he was the face of Marvel, Captain America, him and Iron Man going, he was Not Another Teen Movie. I forgot his name in it, but he crushed in that movie. And he was in one of the Knives Out movies, and he was in that movie with Ryan Gosling when they were like contract killers going after each other. I forgot the name of it, but he's good. So I'll give it to you. He's underrated for sure. We talk about Christian Bale, talk about Leo. Denzel Washington is really good. Really, really good. I'm trying to think of my Mount Rushmore now, and now I'm questioning, does he go on the list or not? There is a lot out there, and he's really good. So thank you for that input. Didn't make things easy for me. All right, this person here, but this is her favorite of her Mount Rushmore. But there's nobody really bad in these. Hugh Jackman, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Julia Roberts, and Johnny Depp. And she goes on to caveat and says Kevin Spacey used to be the number one on her Mount Rushmore, but not anymore. So this is clearly a favorites list and not best actors because again, Kevin Spacey is still a tremendous, tremendous actor. phenomenal actor. And the movies he was in are incredible. Same with the TV shows. He's a rapper, a child rapper, an underage rapist. Not a good guy. Separate the art from the artist. So this is a favorites list and not so much a top actors list. Hugh Jackman, he's good too. He's a good performer. I don't know what his obsession is with dancing and singing and doing that stuff. He loves it though. That's good for him. I'm not judging him. I just think it's kind of funny that this is a guy who was in Swordfish. He's Wolverine. He's played so many parts where he is just this animalistic tough guy type of role. And then in real life, he loves dancing and twirling around and singing and performing theater, like Broadway theater stuff. It's very funny. I love it for him, but it is humorous. Like the juxtaposition of roles to real person is humorous. It's very funny and it's lighthearted humor, of course. You know, it's all in good fun, but it is funny to see that. But Catherine Zeta-Jones is such a babe. Zorro, Entrapment. She gave Michael Douglas cancer because of, Flick You stuff. I love Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's awesome. Julia Roberts is also great. I wouldn't put her in my Mount Rushmore as a top actor, but her movies are always fun to watch at the very least. Erin Brockovich, she was phenomenal in Runaway Bride with Richard Gere. She's great too. I love Julia Roberts. Pretty Woman, also with Richard Gerbil, another top movie. So a great list for that. Great Mount Rushmore there. Thank you for that input. This next person here broke it up into two, actors and actresses. His actors Mount Rushmore is Harrison Ford, Al Pacino, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Henry Cavill or Cavill. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I love that guy too. He's the latest Superman. Before, I guess they're saying that they're getting rid of him now as Superman. I don't know why. It's crazy to me. He was in The Witcher, and he was also in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which for whatever reason, I can't understand it. The movie did not go over well. Not a lot of good reviews. People didn't seem to like it. It wasn't that successful at the box office, but I loved that movie for some reason. I don't know why. It's not the best movie out there, but it's just a fun old school style spy versus spy kind of movie. I thought it was really good. With it's Armie Hammer, the cannibal is in it. Hugh Grant is in it, that the ugly British guy. He's a pretty good actor. I just thought it was a really fun, good movie. And Henry Cavill crushed it. That's where I first saw him and was like, this is a top tier guy right here. I really enjoy Henry as an actor and a performer. He's just seems like a great fellow too. Who knows? But that's a good pick. Leo, obviously, Al Pacino, Godfather, Any Given Sunday, Heat, Donnie Brasco, Scent of a Woman, Hoo-ah! Like there's so many. Al Pacino's Al Pacino. Jack and Jill. You didn't know that? He was in Jack and Jill, a top-tier Adam Sandler film about me and my sister. Tremendous film. Al Pacino. Yeah, and then Harrison Ford, of course. We talked about him. The best. One of the best. For his actresses list, he put Haley Steinfeld, Emma Stone, Margot Robbie, and Ana de Armas. Good list. Haley Steinfeld was very good in the Pitch Perfects that she was in. I don't remember what other movie she's been in recently. She was very good in that. So I can't say for myself that she would make my Mount Rushmore, but she was in that film and she nailed it in that. She's also just happens to be incredibly attractive. I don't know if that's shifting the votes for my friend here who put this submission or not, but I get it. Emma Stone, fun movies too. There hasn't been a movie I've seen with her in it that wasn't that she wasn't a stinker in. Her performances are always solid, even if the movie's not great. There's a one that she just did. I think she won some awards for it. It got mixed. The people who loved it said it was amazing. And the people who didn't like it were just said it's overrated, it stinks. I don't know why people love it so much. It's one or the other. It was a very controversial in that regard. But Emma Stone, I like her. She's in one of my favorite movies, Crazy Stupid Love. And I'll get into that in a little bit later. Margot Robbie, Margot Robbie, besides the fact that she is one of the most naturally attractive human beings alive right now, she's also really, I think she's a good actor. I think she's a very good actor. I didn't see Barbie. I'm not going to see Barbie, but I saw her in several other movies that she's been in. And she's done it for me for her acting. And I'm not just saying that because she's good looking. I'm saying that because she's a good actor. She's also very good looking. There are not attractive people that are very good actors too. Hugh Grant is one of them. He's not an attractive fella. I don't know what people like about him attractive wise, looks wise, but he's a good actor. So good list. Ana de Armas. I hear her name all the time. And if you show me a picture of her without telling me who it is, I would not be able to tell you, oh, that's Ana de Armas. I've seen her before. If you show me the picture and say that's Ana de Armas, I'll be like, oh, I know her from this and this and this. She's great. Love her. Hot. Whatever. I can't put it together myself right now. So I probably want to put her on my list. But thank you for that input. This next one here, this guy decided to provide descriptions on why he picked his folks, which I like. First one, he put Adam Sandler. He said he is playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. The female leads that he gets to kiss in his movies are all solid in the locations of where he gets to shoot. His movies are incredible. Making movies for himself and not Hollywood is a great quality in a human these days, and I actually agree with that. I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. And there are a lot of people in my life that think Adam Sandler movies are dog doo-doo, especially more of the recent ones. And I don't that's fine. Again, opinions, you are allowed to have our own. But I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I like the Sandman so much. But I think his movies are good. This is a guy who's had a friend circle that worked up the comedy scene and the acting scene they all worked up together and they helped each other out and were there for the shit times together. And if I were in Adam Sandler's shoes with the money and success and the production company that he has, I would be doing the exact same thing that he's doing. I'd be making movies with a very similar premise to all of them in a comedic way, where it's basically me with my friends who all happen to also be actors and comedians. So it's not like the quality of jokes and acting is garbage for most of these people in there. They all came up together. I would do the exact thing. I would have a movie where it's basically me and my friends shit talking each other and roasting each other like we do anyway. And then, oh, by the way, the wife in the movie is super hot. Not to mention that my wife in real life is super hot. That's his life. And he gets to go home to a hot wife and a hot family. That sounded weird. An incredibly successful, happy family. And then he gets to work every day with his best pals who are also actors, and the movies are fun and they're stupid, and he gets to dress up like Jack and Jill, and he gets to make Rob Schneider play ridiculous roles, and it's just fun. Okay? It's just lighthearted fun. The people who get angry about Adam Sandler, I just don't understand. It's like he's not trying to go win Oscars for everything. He's just trying to have fun and give something, for the people to watch on a lighthearted weekend day. And it plays well. Okay? And then when he does try to win Oscars, he crushes it. I thought he did great in not Blood Diamonds. The movie Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems. The movie, people can argue one way or the other how they felt about the movie in general, but I thought he did great. And again, maybe I'm biased, but Adam Sandler was a great pick. The next one, he put Philip Seymour Hoffman because of his incredible range in universe in a university of roles that he played during his lifetime. University of roles, is that a highbrow? I don't know. Maybe it was a misspelling or whatever. But I get what you're saying. Your portfolio, his range is incredible. Next, he put Robin Williams because of the memories, the laughter, and the improvisation. That's another sign of pure talent. Is Robin Williams, when he was in movies and stuff, a lot of his stuff was off the noggin, tremendous. So I love Robin Williams. Rest in power. The next one, he put John Ratzenberger. Now, if you don't know John Ratzenberger, I bet you do. Okay. I know him originally, and so does this guy who put the submission in. I know him originally as Cliffy in the TV show Cheers. And he wrote, John Ratzenberger helped solidify my hatred of the United States Postal Service. I think the USPS is just awful and full of Cliffies. Also, and this is the other point here. That's a great point here. Also, he is in almost all current Disney Pixar films as voices of different characters. All the films, John Ratzenberger has a character in, has a voice in. So based off of the 187 projects he's done, he should be on the Mount Rushmore list. So that's a great point, and it's a good list. So I appreciate that. And he's right. John Ratzenberger has a voice in everything. And one of the bigger roles and more well-known is in Monsters, Inc. He's the abominable snowman, and he's offering snow cones, yellow, lemon, and regular. That's John Ratzenberger's voice. That's Cliffy from Cheers. Okay? You can look him up. Wildly underrated. That's a great dark horse pick. That is a great dark horse pick for me. And again, I'm biased. I love Cheers. There was a special place in my heart for Cheers, and Cliffy specifically. He was like, great pick. That was a great list, great pick. Good work there. Moving on to the next ones here. What do we got? This guy put Anthony Hopkins, Kevin Spacey, and then he caveated, think of him as Teddy, great at what he does, but rubs people the wrong way. I think Teddy Roosevelt, same. That's what he's talking about. Obviously, for reasons we discussed with Kevin Spacey. And then he put Ben Foster and Jennifer Lawrence for some diversity. Now, Jennifer Lawrence, I'll talk about first because she is also great. I think she is wildly talented as an actor. I used to be head over heels in love with her as a person. Like her interviews, her jokes, her attitude, everything was just very like blue collar, kind of, funny, hot, great actor, whatever. I am slightly less obsessed with her. There is a chance, and this was open to, the Wet Cat, I think was the Wet Cat who turned me on to this. It was either Wet Cat or Family Show Terrence turned me on to this. That there is a chance it can all be just a big act for her. And she's not nearly as like blue collar, ditzy, fun loving, and it's more calculated and strategic than anything else. Now, if that's the case, that bumps her higher on the actors list as far as her ability to act and make us think she's somebody else. So good for her, good on her for that. Ben Foster is in my opinion, one of the most underrated actors going right now. And if you don't know Ben Foster, please look him up. Because I promise you look up Ben Foster and you're going to be like, oh, he's incredible. He plays a bad guy in a lot of movies that he's in. He's in the remake of 3:10 to Yuma with Russell Crowe. He's in Lone Survivor, one of the Navy SEALs in Lone Survivor. He's in the movie, was it called Hostage? With Bruce Willis. He's one of the bad guys there. What else was he in? A lot of, I can't think off the top of my head. He's an incredible performer and actor. He really makes you hate that bad guy character that he is. Incredibly underrated. One of the most underrated out there. Go look him up, Ben Foster. This is a great list. Anthony Hopkins is another one. Silence of the Lambs. I can't think of other movies. I can see the movies, but I can't remember the names. But he's incredible. Go look up if you don't know Anthony Hopkins. That's another one. It's like I say the name and everyone knows. Oh, Anthony Hopkins, top tier. Yeah. So thank you for that list. It's a great list. This person also put just one name, really kind of two, but one, and kind of going against the Mount Rushmore of 4 kind of vibe, but that's okay. She put Liam Neeson. I've never seen a bad Liam Neeson film. It used to be Steven Seagal for me, but my husband's cousin works on major motion pictures and said that Steven Seagal is a real asshole in person. And let me tell you something, sister, you're not the first person to say that about Steven Seagal. In fact, there's like a whole podcast dedicated to what a POS Steven Seagal is in real life and how he even came to be as an actor. And I don't remember if I told the story of my father, JPL3's connection with Steven Seagal. We'll do that on another episode. It's very funny and interesting. But yeah, Steven Seagal, he's a clown. Okay, I love Steven Seagal movies, but for the clown show that they are. And my sister and brother, we always are texting each other recent Steven Seagal updates in the world because he's such a clown. But Liam Neeson is also a very good actor, and he does have range. It's even funnier to me because his quote unquote range when he does a comedy movie, he still plays the sinister, serious character. But it's in funny stuff. It's very funny. There's a clip out there that somebody sent me recently. A few times I saw it the past month. He was, I think it was a movie, or it was either a movie or show with Ricky Gervais, and he's supposed to be doing improv comedy at the table for them to do it like a table read, if you will. And he's like, "I'm going to do some improv comedy." And they're like, "Okay, here's the premise. You're going to be going to the doctor," and the whole bit that Liam Neeson did is very funny. So very, he's great. He was also in, Rob Roy, Schindler's List, Taken, Ted, the Bear movie. So he's tremendous. So that's all I got from the people on the inputs. Thank you for everybody who submitted. My Mount Rushmore, very tough. It was very tough. Okay. I got 3, and it's gonna be, and my Mount Rushmore is based on my favorites, because they're good. But so my particular Mount Rushmore, this one is my favorites. Maybe another time I'll talk about who I think the best actors in the game are, because it would be different from some of the picks on my Mount Rushmore. I have 3. The 4th one, I have changed my mind 15 times in the last week thinking about this, and another 10 times while I'm reading people's inputs here. My 3, number 1 is Nic Cage, obviously. That goes without saying. There's nothing more I have to or will say about my number 1 pick on my Mount Rushmore, Nic Cage. Okay. Number 2 is Steve Carell. Now follow me here, because most people, you could tell in their Mount Rushmores, whether they went with best actor or favorite, most people did not pick actors that were mostly comedic actors, except for maybe Adam Sandler, I think, is like the only one that was mostly comedy. Robin Williams did a lot of serious stuff too. But so Steve Carell, go watch everything he's been in. Go watch everything he's been in. Even if the movie wasn't that successful, he kills it in The Office. Steve Carell in particular. Okay. And the reason why that show was so wildly successful and was able to even have seasons after he left was because he set the stage for them. 40-Year-Old Virgin, the one of, if not the most forgotten comedies of the early 2000s. When everybody talks about, oh, nobody makes comedy movies anymore like you used to, like Super Bad and Role Models and those other, the other movies that are also funny. Nobody ever says 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I don't understand why. That's the standard. That's the best movie of that time frame. What's the movie I'm thinking of? What is the movie with Vince Vaughn, Will Ferrell? Holy crap. I just watched it on Comedy Central. It's killing me. They start the fraternity. Old School. Bang. Got it. After Old School sort of hit the reset button on wild comedy movies. American Pie and Old School. I used to say that they revolutionized the modern day comedy movie, but they hit the reset button on it because you had movies like Porky's and Caddyshack and stuff back in the day, back in the 80s and stuff, and then they just hit the reset and we're like, we're doing it again. We're running it back. We're just updating it and making it funnier and more current. They broke that glass ceiling, I guess you could call it. After that, 40-Year-Old Virgin. You can't tell me otherwise. There's no other movie out there that I would be like, yeah, that's probably funnier. For me anyway, 40-Year-Old Virgin is it. Steve Carell crushes it. He crushes it in his serious movies, even though the movies don't get a lot of success. The Foxcatcher, the movie, not Marmot, Escape to Marmot or something like that, where he plays the guy. It's also based loosely on a true story, where he plays the guy who wears women's shoes and gets beat to a pulp by these bikers who don't like cross-dressers. And it goes through that, crushes it in that. Crazy Stupid Love, one of my all-time favorites, Steve Carell movie. Ryan Gosling, Steve Carell, Emma Stone, Juliana Moore. Yeah, Moore. David Lynn Hagen. Kevin Bacon. He plays David Lynn Hagen. Steve Carell crushes it. Okay. Brick in The Anchorman, but also before Anchorman and even before 40-Year-Old Virgin, really, Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey, and then Evan Almighty. The movie Evan Almighty was not great overall. It didn't need to be made, but Steve Carell played a good part in that movie. He crushes in every movie. He never disappoints in anything that he's in. He's an absolute pro. He's number 2 for me. Number 3, Marissa Tomei. She's right now the only woman I think that if I was married for 10 years and I had a family and Marissa Tomei knocked on my door and said, I want to date you. I want us to be together. I would pack my bags and I would leave my family for her. No questions about it. Sorry, guys. Take the house. I'll call you on the weekends. That's it. Goodbye. Love her. Oscar winner. I don't just love her to love her. Oscar winner. Mona Lisa Vito, My Cousin Vinny, another top 5 movie for me, probably top 10 movie for me. Devil Knows You're Dead. Only the Devil Knows You're Dead. She played a stripper. No, she didn't play a stripper in that one. She played a stripper in the movie The Wrestler, the Wrestler with I forgot the guy's name. He was also in the Iron Mans. He was in the movie Diner. I'm not gonna remember it. I have to go look it up. I'll look it up later. She takes her clothes off in The Wrestler. She was in Only the Devil Knows You're Dead with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and she takes her clothes off there. So if we're doing a little celebrityskin.com sort of situation, that's where you'll find those pictures. She's Aunt May in all the new Spider-Mans, crushes there. She was in What Women Want with Mel Gibson, crushes there. She was in Seinfeld, she crushed there. She's just tremendous. Tremendous actor. Love her. Mona Lisa Vito is what I need in my life forever. That's my soulmate. And she did that. She put that in my head, my life. She put that in my life so much so that I might be 55 years old before I find a woman that can meet those expectations. That's because that's her fault. That's because of her. So my fourth one on my Mount Rushmore, I don't know. Tom Hardy is up there for me. I love Tom Hardy. I watched Warrior 6 months straight, every day for 6 months straight. Okay. I watched Dark Knight Rises because of him multiple times. Bronson multiple times. Inception multiple times. Anything he's in, I like. Okay. Denzel Washington is another one. Hasn't made a bad movie. I thought for a while The Book of Eli was going to be a garbage movie because there's no way that a blind guy is going to go through the movie and do the stuff he did. I loved Book of Eli. He crushed it in Book of Eli. The movie Flight, I think it was called, where he's the alcoholic pilot, crushed it. Equalizer, crushed it. Safe House, I think it was called, with Ryan Reynolds, crushed. He is phenomenal. Inside Job, Preacher's Wife, Glory, Philadelphia. Tell me a movie that Denzel Washington has not been in that is award-worthy movie. You can't. He might be that one for me. But I also love Adam Sandler. I'm also a big fan of The Sandman. So I can't. If I had to pick right now, because I have to make a decision, I would say from favorites, and I'm sure I'm missing other people too, because I'm thinking off the top of my head all these other movies that I like. I'm going to go with The Sandman, Adam Sandler. So it would be Cage, Carell, Tomei, Sandler. But I love all those guys. I Keanu Reeves too. I can't. We're not going to get into all of it. It's too much of a discussion to get into all the ins and outs on the best and the favorites and all that stuff. But thank you guys for all that information, for your inputs and opinions. This was fun. This was a nice, light, fun one. I don't know how long we went, probably over an hour again, but it was a fun one. I enjoyed this. It got my mind off of the crazy tinfoil hat stuff that I've been obsessed with on this show, as usual. So, and it got me forgetting the fact that I have a literal steaming pile of crap in a box in my house that I need to get UPS to pick up right now as we speak. So, before we go, though, really quick, the big three, the three pillars of staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that positivity and goodness throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Whether it's a physical, mental, or emotional exercise, do one thing every day to improve your health and fitness physically, mentally, emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. No matter how angry you are, no matter how much you think somebody deserves it, whether in person or on the internet, when the opportunity arises to be shitty and mean and negative to somebody, take the LPDS step back, remove yourself from the situation, and go do something more positive and productive with your life. Okay, that way you're minimizing the negativity and the shit going on in the world by being an asshole to somebody, even if they deserve it, and you're giving yourself the capacity to go be more positive and productive, and you get yourself out of that world, that negativity world. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And this week in particular, it's a little easier to think about that because of Memorial Day weekend. You can think about the human beings who are no longer with us because they put their lives out there and sacrificed for us, for this country. And you can be grateful for that. Okay? And then every day you think of another thing that's good in your life and think about what your life would be like without that thing. And that immediately puts you in that state of gratitude as opposed to taking things for granted. And if you do all these three things every day, a little bit each and every day, I promise you, you're going to be a better, happier, healthier, kinder, more genuine human being. You could spread that goodness and positivity throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put the notifications on and tell your friends and enemies and hit that hotline 202-670-1114. We got some calls we're going to get to next week. I want to get to more calls, so keep the hotline calls coming. I don't care what they are. I don't care if they're funny, if they're stupid, if they're mean, if they're angry, if they're troll jobs, whatever. 202-670-1114. Send us your calls. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.